Hello, and the semi-final round of the Nation versus Nation Pacific League tournament. Nation versus Nation, of course, is a competitive team-based competition in the same vein as Counter-Strike or Rainbow Six. Our competitors today will be from all around the Pacific region. We will have teams representing the USA, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and of course, China. All of them will be duking it out, take home the crown as the Nation versus Nation Pacific League champion. And they will also be taking home a share in $10,000 that has been kindly provided by our friends at Battlestate Games. So thank you, BSG. We appreciate you. My name is Afraid, and I'm joined today by the one and only Jazza Hazard here at Fortress Melbourne. Of course, we're down here for PAX Australia. How you doing, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, Afraid. Thanks for having me here. It's going to be a hell of an event today. After the showing that these teams put on last week, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of amazing players and seeing what sort of caliber they can come up with today.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely wild. We saw some just amazing showmanship last week, expensive healthcare, which of course we're going to be seeing in the first round going up against Team Golden Tooth of Korea. I cannot believe how hard they came out of the gate when they were doing their regional selection rounds. They went in there and they said, we're here, we're competitors. We are here not only to show up and to be part of it, we're here to take home the crown. And I have to say, I reckon they're probably my favorite going into these semi-final rounds. Of course, Golden Tooth, though, we haven't seen them compete yet due to some technical issues. We had some rule breaking last week. It did mean that Golden Tooth did get a free run into these semi-final rounds, which of course means that we haven't had the opportunity to kind of check them out, see what they're about, see how they play. Are they aggressive? Are they slow? Are they tactical? How are they going to do it? I'm actually really, really excited to see what they're going to have in store for us. And of course, Jazza, your team, my team, Team OCE, Sicario will be here. They'll be throwing it down with Team China, the Never Stop team. They, of course, did a show match last Sunday. They went to the reserve military base and they did a matchup against the Nest, the runner-up team from the US, and they absolutely dominated. They came in with very, very unique loadouts, a little bit different to what a lot of the other teams were running, but they showed that they had a style, they had a way of playing, and the way that they play absolutely works. So did you get a chance to watch the regional qualifiers last week?
Absolutely. Last week, was a hell of a match, particularly with Sicario and Team SEAL Team Panda, sorry. And then also with the exhibition match that we had, where we didn't necessarily get all the streams, but we did see a couple of the China players up and running on reserve as well. And I tell you what, Federico with that SA-58, zhoosh, that's not someone that I would want to come up against.
No, he is an absolute competitor, completely wild. So look, before we get into it, let's take a look at our rules. We will see what kind of restrictions our teams will need to stick to as part of this Nation versus Nation tournament. Jazza.
Absolutely, guys. So rules set, same as last week, guys. So one sniper rifle per team. All other guns have just the optic on board. One stimulant per player. That does not include the morphines. They can have as many morphines as they'd like. As we saw, some players were running the injector case in their backpack, and 4 throwables per player. Rules of the match is simple. Kill everyone else. If they don't die, then get to the objective and get it done. Easy. Restrictions, of course, no 338 ammo, no KS-23s, no leg mattering, please. No grenade launchers, no impact grenades, and no enhanced gear. Very, very simple play. Very, very simple.
Of course. And that enhanced gear is always a bit of a game changer with the current, high elite skills and things like that. We're now cutting over to the ladder view, though. So obviously we saw all of our regional rounds last week, where we saw expensive healthcare take the win over the Nest from the US, moving through to this semi-final round. Two, of course, going in over Team Dev from Korea, and they will be matching expensive healthcare. And then, of course, between SEAL Team Panda and Sicario, representing Oceania, Australia, New Zealand. Sicario coming out on top at an absolute nail biter at the end, but they will be coming up and playing against Team Never Stop, representing China. And of course, our winning teams from today will go through into the grand final round tomorrow Again, on this channel, Spicy Bush, if you're watching the Korean cast, NvN eSports, we will have Twitch drops enabled tomorrow as well for the entire broadcast. And we will also see, you can see in that bottom bracket there, Jazza, that will be our 3rd and 4th placeholders. We have money for the top 3 spots. So Jazza, can you take us through our teams? Who are we going to be watching in this first round?
So this first round between Expensive Healthcare and Golden Tooth. For Expensive Healthcare, we've got Jiplol, Nicklol, Maquito, and Gun. A lot of experience in this team. I'm excited to see what they produce on customs today. Their exceptional performance on labs. And for Korea Golden Tooth, we have Diplu, Cookbab. I'm probably going to butcher this name. Mikus, and Prey. I apologize profusely if I butchered that.
Very excited to see these teams going up against each other. I did have the opportunity to scrim against Team Golden Tooth from Korea. Very, very competitive players, and we did do that matchup on the customs game mode. So they definitely know it. They've definitely been practicing it, and they had some strategies that I've never seen before. We've done this, and I was part of the previous NvN tournament, and we did do quite a few matches on the customs game mode. And Golden Tooth definitely have a few surprises up their sleeve. Now, that being said, Expensive Healthcare, or as I like to call them, 4 Sherpas and Jip, they have also come up with a bunch of new strategies. They were part of the planning last time. So I know Jip in particular has a lot of really left of field strategies that we haven't seen before. And we saw in the rounds, the regional round last week, that he is an incredibly strong, very, very tactical in-game lead. So as we watch Team Expensive Healthcare here today, you will hear Jip making calls, calling out where he needs his team to go. I'm actually wondering if they will do. We saw a lot of 2-2 splits last week where Jip and Nick were rotating around together while Maquito and Gunador were able to secure any of the objectives that they needed. But of course, that was on the Labs game mode, and these are all very experienced Labs game players. So as coming over to customs now, it's a whole new world for them. I don't know that I've actually seen them here. I know that they've put a fair bit of effort into coming up with these strategies, but again, Korea have just been on another level to planning for what they want to do in this tournament. So as we cut over to the view here, we can see that we will have 2 different spawn points, one for each team. There will be a best of 4 or a tiebreaker if it is a 2-2 situation. Both of our teams will be vying to get to one of the technical crates on the top of the fortress building. We can see one there on the screen. After 7 minutes has passed in the round, they will be able to open that box and pull out the 6-round grenade launcher. The winning condition, if you don't take out the opposing team, is to fire all 6 rounds out of that GL. And if you get that 6th shot off, it does not matter if you're 1v4 and you're the last person standing. If you're able to fire that GL off, you win that round for your team. But of course, you need to be able to get there. You need to be able to survive those 7 minutes. And we've seen in a lot of these rounds already, Jazza, is that we never got to that point. It never actually happened. We actually found that, the PvP was just breaking loose, and we saw team wipes before that ever happened. So I'm kind of thinking we're going to see more PvP again today. This is a very competitive game mode. Are you thinking that it's going to be more of a timed play, or do you think we're going to see a lot of all-out, balls-to-the-wall PvP action?
I think with the two teams that we've got coming up against each other, we're going to have a lot more aggressive gameplay. So I think, honestly, it's probably going to follow the trend. The grenade launcher is probably going to stay nice and tight in that little box, and then it's just going to be all-out war. It's going to be absolutely brutal to watch these teams go at each other, and I'm really excited. I'm really looking forward to it.
I tend to agree. We saw that from Expensive Healthcare last week, where they went, you know what, we don't really care about the objective. We're not about that. We're going to go in. We want to do those really, really early pushes. We want to absolutely show that we are here to win. We are mechanically skilled. We have the tactics. We're not going to give you the opportunity, because they know, and it's a team-based competition. I played plenty of CSGO and things like that. If you take a hit very early on, if that first round, if you go out there and your team just immediately gets squad wiped, that is a huge hit to the morale, and it is really hard to recover from that. And that's what Expensive Healthcare did last week. They went out hard in the first 2 rounds, and they went, you know what? We're going to send you back to the stash. We're going to make sure that you know that you are messing around with professionals here. And then we saw that. They were a lot more conservative going into round 3 because they knew that they had it. All they had to do was pull that draw out or a single win, and they were going to take the round victory and move forward into the semi-final round. So I'm really keen. I think that they will try and do the same thing. But Jazzy, here's the rub though, is I can tell you now, and anyone watching at home, keep an eye on what Golden Tooth do. They have a very, very interesting split on this customs game mode. They like to run, from what I've seen, a 2-2 split, meaning they have 2 of their players moving hard to the forward. They want to try and secure it. They don't necessarily push to the top floor. They might float somebody up there, but they want to make sure that they can repel anyone else from coming into that building. And then they move their sniper player around the outside, because remember, only one player can have a bolt action with a ranged scope. Everyone else here will have a 1 times reflex sight. So being able to play that player on this map can make a huge difference in actually turning any particular round around, or the entire match. Jazza, do you think that if you were getting into this, would you be one of the CQB players? Would you want to be charging into the fortress and juking it out, or are you more of that sniper, that tactical player? You're looking for the picks, you're looking for the long plays, the things that could change the overall flow of the round?
Honestly, I'd probably want to be the sniper, but I'm not really any good at it. So I'd get into Fortress, get my hands dirty, get nice and close to the opposition, make sure that I know where they are at all times. I'd like to be in the mix these days, especially with Tarkov, and be able to put them down if I can. The tactical advantage of having, of course, being able to, he's not there just to kill. He's not there to get the long shots. He's there for communication. He's there to try and get all the info that they need so they are able to then defend. Going 2v2, having a split 2v2, only putting 2 into Fortress is the hard place to lock down with just 2 players. We saw it last week with Still Team Panda. They had four players all in Fortress in that upper story area where they were trying to lock it down, and we saw Sicario push successfully a couple of times. It's hard to do with 4. It's going to be even harder to do with 2. So I'm excited to see what sort of strategies they pull out today.
And this is it. You will not be able to use the same strategies that we've seen, because all of our teams have been scrimming. All of our teams have been working with the teams that were eliminated in the regional rounds. There have been other teams that have been jumping in to do the scrims that weren't part of the tournament this time around, and they've been able to show their strategies. They've been able to give counters to a lot of them as well. And per example, we saw SEAL Team Panda securing that top floor and holding those angles, and they knew where to sit so that they weren't exposing themselves to that sniper player. They knew that the sniper player was out there, and there was one point that Jet was sitting on that mound, crouched down, or I believe it was Arden with the sniper rifle over by the toilets, and they were just mere meters from each other, but they both had a view over the back of the fortress, and they were able to provide information to their teams, even without knowing that they were seconds away from an engagement. So, look, I think that you cannot discount the benefit, the absolute advantage that it gives you to have this additional information, and being able to run 1 player or 2 players, not worrying too much about the objective, more to try and understand what is the other team doing. Are they going for that hard, really, at the beginning where they want to try and secure and lock down the fortress, or are they happy to play it a bit slower? Stay back, do some rotations around, come from some odd angles, make sure that they are coming in with a timed push to secure the objective before that 7-minute timer hits 0. So I am hearing that our teams will be deploying into the raids at the moment. So as they go in there, they will make their way over to the spawn points. Spawn point A, of course, is over by the glass medical building on customs. Spawn B will be over at the old gas station. As we cut over to our players now, we can see they are moving over to their starting points. Now, Jazza, we saw this last week, and I think we've seen it in every round so far, is you are only allowed to run a single stimulant, right? Meaning only one Propofol or an ETG or an SJ6. We can't run multiple. Morphines, of course, do not count because they are only a painkiller. But we're looking now, we can see that all of our competitors, they've got super waters, hot rods, juices, MREs. Why are they doing that, Jazza? Why are they bringing these additional items in?
They are trying to squeeze every single ounce of an advantage that they can get out of these items. So super water obviously gives you a buff. We saw heaps of moonshine being chugged. Mind you, I would love to see someone chug that amount of moonshine in real life. That would just be dangerous. And anything like me, if you do that and then you play Tarkov, it's going to be a bad time. So they're trying to squeeze every bit of advantage out and get every ounce of buff that they can to give themselves an edge. Making sure that they're obviously not breaking the rules and they are getting their characters ready, getting their PMCs ready to go, so they are ready to fight from the start.
Very, very interesting loadouts that we're seeing here from Cookbub and Dip Blue. They both started off the rounds with the Zooks on, but they've also got a Hex Grid in their bags. I wonder why that is. Are they expecting to... I mean, we saw something similar from Freddie Smalls from Team Sicario of OCE last week, where he came in with the Reese T on and brought a couple of additional face shields in. But bringing two armors in is such an unusual play.
And you always need a backup armor. It's it's actually quite a good strategy in my eyes. If your armor is cooked and you need to get rid of it, turf it, put the new one on, and then you're back and you're in the fight and you're ready to go again. So if you're taking a lot of shots, make sure that you are able to switch over quickly.
Precisely, and these are played while we're on offline servers. They are using their live accounts, which means that they have the opportunities to get as many elite skills as they possibly can. So, most of our players, if not all of them, will actually have elite strength, elite endurance, and even with that additional armor on, I cannot see the little yellow sign of them being overweight. I think they may have actually calculated that they prefer the Zook, but the Hex is a little bit lighter. As our teams are now moving off the spawn, we can see Cookbab, interesting rotation straight off. He is moving over towards the power building. Now, will he do the jump over at the train or move into a sniper position? But no, it actually looks like he is going to go over and do that is not a jump I have ever seen before. I don't know, have you seen that, Jazza?
That's something new. I was not aware that you could actually pull that off.
That is some wild parkour. And of course, we see Prey down the bottom right-hand side. Nades are out, repelling that early push from Team Expensive Healthcare. We're seeing shots from Mukido up the top right. They've managed to seize the USEC stairs. Nick moving towards the top floor. He is in those USEC stairs at the back as well, shifting up to the top floor. The suppressor of Mukido glowing red on that.
He's already had a malfunction there, right? That's that suppressive fire. You've got to be careful.
Very, very interesting. He was running 2 308 guns there. So he kind of had the M1A, or I believe it was an RSAS actually, that he was shooting down range to kind of put the pressure on. And then he shifted over to a FAL. We see Dip Blue putting shots on with that big FAL. Jip going down. That is a big upset, a huge upset for Team Expensive Healthcare. Jiplol, their in-game lead, one of their strongest CQB players, going down to Dip Blue. We're just seeing Jazza, the amazing, the really, really short time to kill on these big 308 guns. It's certainly been a shift coming into today. It's really hard to compete against those big calibers, especially in full auto.
Absolutely. And he hit the deck and he hit it hard. And now, as you can see, Nicolol, I believe, is upstairs. He's trying to hold the angle. He is surrounded, Afraid. He is absolutely surrounded.
We haven't seen either of the team sniper players coming into play just yet, but we are seeing that there are 2 of the team Golden Tooth players moving underneath, looking to come up the USEC stairs from the basement. And again, they know that Team Expensive Healthcare are up the top, which means that they can hold the angles, they can secure those stairs. But with Jip down, Nick is now having to hold multiple angles. As we can see, he's there and he's listening. He needs that audio. He needs to know, are they going to push from the front, the open stairs, or are they going to come from the USEC stairs? Because he will not have seen this. They do not have an information player out there. Cookbab putting those nades down, mainly for effect. He is wanting to try and muffle any audio, hide what they can. Diplu charging through, though.
Absolutely. Both of these teams trying to figure out where each other is, trying to figure out getting any sort of information that they can in order to give themselves an advantage here.
I wonder if they figured out that Mukido is in the armory room there at the moment. He will be in a position that, yes, okay, he might get pinned in, but it could give valuable information to his teams, to Gunner, to Nick, who are on the top of the fortress right now. And if he is careful, he may actually be able to get a pick here and re-even that fight, turn it back into a 3v3.
Absolutely. As I said at the start, Afraid, holding up that top level with only 2 players, it's going to be tough. but Nick seems to be very cautious in his movements. He's making sure that he's not going to expose himself out to the sniper player who is unknown to him. Oh, he's got a shot on.
Yeah, I got him, Mac. Yeah.
Nick. Keto taking out Dip Blue, I believe, there. But that is a huge transfer for Team Expensive Healthcare. They've turned it back into a 3v3. They are now in a very strong position. Also hearing Cookbab is out, which means that they are now exactly where they want to be. They have secured that top floor. It is a 3v3 situation. It has become so much harder for Team Golden Tooth to make the push, to make the play now. They are aware that Mokito is down there. They are aware that he has been passing on information to his teammates, and that did mean that they were able to get that kill onto Cookbab. Now remember, this is not the type of game where you can allow the timer to run to 0. There is a 7-minute limit. Pray up the back, because he knows that if he is not up there trying to secure that by the time that 7-minute point hits, the Team Expensive Healthcare will be able to jump into one of those technical containers, grab that GL, shoot it off, and win the round. Pray taking shots. I believe that might be onto Nick right now. Gunador countering onto the rear stairs. Nick dropping Dip Blue. Nick also going down though. I believe Prey may have made that push there. We now have one player up for Team Korea and only one player up. Gunador, again, very established CQB player. Gunnar, this is where he wants to be for this type of fight. He knows that he's there. He knows that he's hit. Both of our players, full health, ammo, armor, they're both ready. They are here for this fight. Either of them are going to be able to get to that technical crate to grab that GL without taking out the other player. Prey pulling out the nade, trying to get some movement from Gunnar. Gunnar hearing it land a little bit short, does not do enough to get him to move off that hold, but he goes down. Prey with the right-hand swing, Gunnar going down. That is a huge upset for Team Expensive Healthcare. What an amazing play, an amazing comeback from Golden Tooth. They were not able to get that early hold, but wow, Jazza, that was what a turnaround, just wall banging him straight through that metal barrier.
Absolutely. What a round to start off this event. This is what I was expecting out of these two teams. They are going to be going absolutely ham on one another, making sure that they're here, they're established, they want to get into the fight. They don't care about the objective. They are out for blood, and they are here to prove a point.
Very clever plays from both teams, right? We saw that. They both implemented their early raid strategy, and for that one, it was interesting. So Team Expensive Healthcare of the US going for the early hold in the fortress. They went, we want to go in there. We want to have that tactical advantage by already being where the end goal is. And Team Golden Tooth said, that's fine. That's fine. This is round one. We don't know what you're going to do. We're going to start off a little bit slower. We're going to play the outside. We're going to see if we can get some picks earlier on. If we can't, that's fine. We'll figure it out. And they did that. They got in, and then both of our teams, they slowed down for a minute, or they ended up in a 3v4 situation. But they went, you know what? We need to get some information. We need to figure out, have Expensive Healthcare move their entire team to the top floor? Is Team Korea rotating around the outside? Are they looking to push from the open stairs at the front? Are they going to go to the USEC stairs at the back? The moment that Mokito was able to get that information on Team Korea and where they were rotating to, we instantly saw it turn around, and they came back. It turned into a 3v3, then a 2v2, and finally a 1v1. And what a nail biter right at the end there between, Gunnar trying to, I guess, get him off that right hand peak, but he was still able to swing it, wall banging straight through that metal sheet, and ultimately taking the first round for Team Korea. Huge upset. I honestly thought that Expensive Healthcare would have had the upper hand going into that, but no, they turned it around. But they now know. Remember, these first rounds, Shazza, they don't always dictate the outcome, because these teams have not scrimmed together. They haven't played against each other before. They don't know what type of strategies the other teams will actually bring out into play, especially being a semi-final round. They've been holding all of these cards very close to their chest. So do you think we're going to see a difference in their approach into the next one? Do you think Expensive Healthcare will slow it down, or do you think that they will continue with their patented approach of, we want to go in there, we want to throw down, we want to pay, let's get at it?
It's going to be interesting to see their strategy for the second round, because now I do believe that they swapped now and they changed it up a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see if we see less of a push now and if they are a little bit more reserved. I credit to these teams, and you can see how much they must have played together. When Nick was taking shots, Gunnar immediately pushed around to cover his mate, and he wanted to make sure that his mate was going to be okay. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in their favor, so we're going to have to wait and see till round 2. But round 1, setting the bar very high right off the bat. I'm excited.
Yeah, it was an amazing one to see. And like I said, I'm super, super keen to see how they change it up, because there is a very, very slight advantage. If you are going from that old gallon and you're able to do the rotate onto the rear ramp, you can actually get on top of the fortress before the spawn over at the glass medical building can. Now, that wasn't used by Team Korea in the previous match because, as I said, they decided they wanted to go for a timing push. They were not looking for that early open frag. They weren't interested in holding the objective and making expensive healthcare come to them. But this is their opportunity, right? They might actually be able to turn it around. So if I was Jip and I was the in-game lead and I was like, you know what, I've just seen Korea slow it right down, I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to slow it down, they're going to play for information, and then they're going to push really hard. So I'm actually thinking that Expensive Healthcare are going to use that strong position over at Old Gas to try and get to the top of the fortress again. I think we're going to see a very early push from Team USA.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, Fred. Absolutely. It's going to be an aggressive push. And to get that tactical advantage, being able to hold that position early, again, it was a hard ask of both Nick and Gunnar to hold up that upper story area just with the two of them. They did a fantastic job. Fortunately, Korea just coming in too strong.
And also, can we take a moment to appreciate that wall jump by Cookbub? I have never seen that before. I've seen people do the backwards jump from the pipe over the wall. I've seen people do the jump from the train bridge over onto the fence, but I've never seen that one before. And I'm hearing we're about to cut back over with our players as they move over to their spawns for round 2. Again, Team Korea going in with the advantage, taking the victory by the skin of their teeth in round 1. Let's see how things change up as our teams go through their starting rituals. Team Korea moving over to the spawn by the glass medical building. Team Expensive Healthcare from the USA moving over to the spawn by Old Gas. I will say, Jazz, it is always my favorite seeing people ripping out these super waters, ripping out these moonshines and chugging away. Like, I can tell you now, from the online raids that I've done, I actually would never have known, if it wasn't for Nation versus Nation, that BSG actually implemented an animation for drinking the moonshine. Because who takes a 300,000 ruble item into the game just to chug it and lose attention skill for the fact that they get, 1 or 2 points into endurance and strength, I believe.
It's not something that you commonly see with the online raids, but as we said at the beginning here, they are just after every single ounce of advantage that they can get. And the Super Water does give a lot of buzz. I don't know if you've actually ever looked at the item description for the Super Water. Usually I just get one and then I put it directly onto the flea market. I don't really read the description, but it does actually offer you a lot of buffs. So guys, if you haven't checked it out, it's worthwhile.
I was going to say, I can't imagine myself loading into a customs raid, trying to go and get my bronze pocket watch and then just chugging a moonshine down at the start. It feels like I'd be better off doing the same as you, throwing that up on the flea market and using it to buy a few kits.
Absolutely. I mean, if I ever did see someone running in factory and they were chugging a super water, I would probably just have to them and just say, you know what, mate, I'm going to go in the opposite direction because you are gaming, my friend.
Interesting mix-up of the guns. We can see that obviously 308, the big 7.62x51 is still a favorite. The SA58, the FAL, has always been a go-to, especially on Asian servers. Like that, they are a big tournament winner. You don't often see it so much, I found, with NA or even in around the OCE servers as well. But obviously, it's a favorite for them. It seems to be run by now. We did see a mix of mutants and M4s last week, but it seems that both of our teams have actually shifted over to the really short time to kill that can only be offered by the FAL, the RSAS, the M1A.
Yeah, absolutely. Those bigger rounds, they do pack a punch, and the time to kill around them is so short. You do not want to make a mistake when your opponent has that larger round. They are going to absolutely decimate you no matter what armor that you're wearing.
We are immediately really unusual rotation from Team Expensive Healthcare. Nick making the jump over. Gunner not able to make it stick. Maquido has moved around, is going to the back there to counter any push up the rear stairs. Jip, the sniper player, top left-hand side. We can see he is there looking for the rotation, trying to get the information from Team Korea. We're hearing those early nades. And last week, that was huge. We saw a nade take out 2 players off the rip in our OCE versus OCE game. Nick moving into Rashala's room, instantly taking that. Maquido has gone down. Bottom left-hand screen is out. We are back into a 3v4. Mikas moving into the USEC stairs. He is holding the back there. He knows that someone is out the back. Team Korea securing the top floor. We are going to see a different push from... Actually, I think we've just seen Nick take out one of Team Korea up the top right-hand side as they attempted to rotate in from the glass medical side. Mikas at the front. That was... I've had confirmation. That was Cookbab, who has just gone down to Nick, meaning we are back into a 3v3.
Yeah, both of these teams trading players. That early loss really would have set them back, but they seem to have recovered and they've been able to stabilize really, really well. Now they've been able to even it up. It's going to be interesting to see what Dip does here. He's got
We've just heard from Jip, the in-game lead for Expensive Healthcare up the top, has said, I am going to my spot. As you see him running out past the power building, he does have that DVL with the range scope. Remember, Jazza, that DVL is so quiet, so very quiet, that if he is able to prop himself up somewhere, start getting information, start looking to grab some picks on Team Korea, they will not know where he is. They will not be able to count. He's doing the full rotation.
That is a wide rotation. That's going to take him some time, but with all the information that he's got from the rest of him, he knows that he's got the time to make this rotation. This is a wide swing.
And that was, I thought it was very unusual when the sniper player started off by grabbing an SJ6. Because remember, our players can only take a single stimulant other than morphine into these raids. And to have a sniper player, someone who is traditionally playing a little bit slower, trying to find information, trying to feed that detail to his team so that they can make their plays, to see a sniper player popping an SJ6, this is kind of the wild play that I was expecting from Jip. And these guys, they have been doing this for so long, Jazza, they are going to come up with some really, really wild plays.
Absolutely. And you can still see that SJ is coming in clutch. He has made so much ground in such a short amount of time. I don't think that his opponents are going to be expecting this.
No, and we can see Prey, inset, bottom left, the 4, Team Golden Tooth of Korea. He's looking around. He's like, are all 4 of them inside the fortress? Are they moving in there? Are they holding? Are we going to have to do a timed push? What's going on? What am I expecting? And look at this position from Jip. Look where he is. He has made it all the way over to the tankers near the A-frames, basically over in the construction area. These are some wild angles that I don't think I've seen before.
No, neither have I, afraid. And I tell you what, I think Team Korea is going to be very surprised. He's got that quiet DVL. He hasn't given up any of his location, and all he's doing right now is just feeding information to his teammates, giving them the best advantage that they can get.
One's got to be sitting like top,
and he's got such an angle.
And then one's got to be sitting like...
You can hear Jip calling out the spots that he is able to check, which means that he can triangulate. He can triangulate where the players must be holding from. What we have Gunner, though, running around the outside, throwing nades onto the spots that Jip is feeding to him. Prey still floating around there. He has just seen, we've just sliver of Gunner door in between those connexes, those shipping containers. Jip moving a little bit closer, trying to carve up the angles slightly differently. Who knows? He may actually be visible to Prey any moment now. Prey no longer looking. He's just seen. Have we just seen? Oh, the shot just missing Gunner. Jazza, there must have been a hair's breadth in that.
He's running to mid-trade right now.
Absolutely nothing in that. His crosshair was dialed in. We see Mikey hurt.
Taking damage from that very well-placed grenade from Gunner. Gunner slow walking around there. Very risky play, but he must know that the sniper player is somewhere over by the train line. He knows that he is being covered from the front of the fortress because that is where Jip is currently sitting up on those big fuel containers.
17, so we have 2 minutes. Just chill. I'm about to try to pick him.
I got him.
Nice, good kill. Yeah, 2 more.
2 on 3. 2 on 3. One's by train.
One's by train. Nick, you both push up.
Yeah, push up.
Have gotten confirmation Mikey has jumped down.
Jip, the in-game lead, calling the push. We see Gunner moving in. Nick,
Might be close back.
Blue, still holding near the back of the stairs. He is covered from what Jip will be able to see with that DMR sniper rifle. Gunner has made the push up. He's carving those corners. He's looking.
Where's below us at?
We see shots coming into Nick.
Nick taking shots.
I believe that was from Dip Blue that we see inset left-hand bottom screen. Dip Blue knows that he is surrounded right now. Still has a few nades there, but may not be brave enough to pull those out because that will give his audio away. Is looking for it here. Dip Blue taking. Gunner goes down, but he has given away his position to Nick. Where is he? He may be in a position where where Dip Blue is holding right now, exposing himself to the new construction area there. He may get a shot in the back if Nick is calling that out to Jip. He takes out Nick. What a clutch. If I'm not mistaken, we are in a 1v1. Dip Blue goes down to Jip. Jip taking heavy damage. Bray is still up though. This is the DMR player versus the DMR player. Although it looks like Prey has actually dropped the DVL, opting to, actually no, these would be elite strength gamers. He would not be doing that for the additional weight loss. I'm really not sure why he would have dropped that there. He knows that Jip is there. The creep walking, he will not have that audio. Jip in a bit of an awkward position. 2 heavy bleeds. Leg missing, stomach missing. Got that painkiller off. He does have the big fell, the SA-58, pulling those nades out. He pushes on the audio, takes out Jip, clutching a second round win for Team Golden Tooth of Korea. You hear the excitement from the team there. Unbelievable. What a turnaround. That was, Jazz, I don't even know what to say about that. That was something that I was not expecting to see at all. The SJ6 off the rip from Jip, and then doing the massive rotation, being able to give such concise and strong details to his without any audio, because he was able to check a lot of the hold spots. And remember, they have been practicing. They know where teams are holding from. He knew that he could check as many as he possibly could from that angle. And when he didn't see any of the Team Korea players there, he was able to relay that onto his players and say, put your nades down here. Try and move them off this. When you push up the stairs, check for these spots. And we saw that with Mikas going down almost immediately to a barrage of nades, all from that information provided by Jip doing that long rotate. Oh, mate, again, like I said, we are going to see some absolutely wild tactics. What were your thoughts watching that?
You know how prepared they are. All Jip needed to do for his teammates to say, I'm going to my spot. And everybody knew exactly where he was going. On par, all he needed to do was just go get to his angle, and then he was calling out. We saw Mickey taking those hits from the nades with the call outs from Jip. Great communication. Unfortunately, they just didn't come away with the win that round, but very, very good plays from both teams.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. And like I said, seeing that shot ricochet off Gunador's helmet, I can tell you now, my heart was in my throat. I really thought we were going to see an upset there, because he settled down and we saw the whole breath, that scope from Prey stabilizing there. I was like, you know what? This is going to be an upset, because Gunner is the one that is working paired with Jip right now. Jip is giving him the information and Gunner is putting those nades down. Nick is only there for the push. You know, he wasn't in a position where he could have countered any of those spots in the same way that Gunner can. We're about to go into an ad break now. We will be back in a few minutes' time with a huge thank you to our sponsors, Battlestate Games, and of course, we will be back very, very shortly. Have a drink, and we will see you soon. Hello and welcome back to the Nation versus Nation Pacific League. We are at the halfway mark of our first set between Team Expensive Healthcare of the USA up against Team Golden Tooth of Korea. I will say, Jazza, I was not expecting to see the matches that we've seen today. Expensive Healthcare was so very, very strong, going 4-0 in their regional qualifiers last week, but just like smashing into a wall that is Team Golden Tooth of Korea, clutching the first so far here today. Now, again, we need to make sure for Team Expensive Healthcare to stay in the match now. They will need to win the remaining 2 rounds of this set. They're out. They need to take this to a tiebreaker. And of course, our tiebreaker will be how quickly they were able to clutch their wins, right? I think we're going to see some very, very hard pushes, some very aggressive plays from Team Expensive Healthcare because they know that they need to win both rounds. But not only do they need to do that, they need to do it quickly. We're not going to see that timer hitting 7 minutes and that GL coming out. No. Jip and his team, they will know they need to get in there and they need to PvP. They need to be able to wipe out Team Golden Tooth. However, for Team Golden Tooth, they don't mind. They only need a draw. They only need a round win, and they are going through and competing in our grand final of the Pacific League. They will be fighting it out for first or second position. And of course, thanks to BSG, we have a $10,000 prize pool for our teams. That top spot, that top team will be taking home $5,000. Our second place team, $3,000. And of course, the third place team will walk away with $2,000. Not a small amount of money. These teams will definitely be wanting to try and take back as much as they possibly can. But none of our other teams are going to make it easy for them. So again, really, really excited to see what we have in the following half. Do you think we're going to see some aggressive plays from Golden Tooth again, or do you think that they're going to try and run that timer down, knowing that all they have to do is pull out a draw or a very easy, gentle set win to be able to take out the entire round and move forward? What are you thinking?
Yeah, absolutely. Golden Tooth currently have the advantage right now. They can take it easy. They can slow play it. They don't need to do anything silly. They can literally just sit back, wait for the push. I think Expensive Healthcare is just going to have to come out of the gate and try and knock them over as quickly as possible. And I think Golden Tooth, they've got the home field advantage now. They can just say, yep, cool, you can push us as much as you want. But as long as one of our blokes remains alive and we keep you off that tech crate, end of the story. You only need one draw. You only need one more win, and then game over for Expensive Healthcare.
Exactly right. And look, it's going to be interesting because not only that, we are seeing them going back into the initial spawn point. So we will have Team Golden Tooth starting off from over at the old gas station, meaning they have the advantage if they do want to try and push into the fortress building, or they can actually slow it right down. Like they can do what they need to do. They can rotate out of old gas. They can move into the power building. They can play it slow from behind the train lines. They don't need to play aggressively because ultimately, if they can run that timer down, even if Expensive Healthcare are able to secure that top floor and grab the GL, they know that raid time will be too long. They can't afford to do it. They know that Team Expensive Healthcare are going to have to go and hunt them down. As we cut back over to our players now, as they move out to their starting locations, of course, Team Expensive Healthcare from the US, moving over by the Glass Medical Building. We are about to see them popping all of their stimulants, their super waters, their moonshines, you name it, the hot rods, everything. Team Korea, of course, making their way over to the old gas station, going through their starting routines.
Yeah, absolutely. The pressure is on for Expensive Healthcare. It's do or die right now for them. They really need to pull it together. Mind you, afraid the score isn't actually representative of how these raids have played out. Both teams have been incredibly close. It's come down to one in the round 2. Round 1 was incredibly close as well. So as much as Golden Tooth does have the 2-up advantage, they are getting their money's worth with Expensive Healthcare.
It's certainly not making it easy for them, right? They have fought tooth and nail right to the very, very end. So, look, again, I don't think that Team Golden Tooth are going to be content to slow it right down because they know that if they're played offside, if they don't use their strategies that they've been practicing, there is a very good chance that the incredibly mechanically skilled Expensive Healthcare team will be able to come through and clean them up. And if they're able to do that quickly, then that is a big upset for Team Golden Tooth, who are very much in an advantageous position right now over their rivals.
And they've got a little bit of a safety net here with a 2-0 lead. With Expensive Healthcare, as I said, they're just going to have to run in and keep playing their game, though. They do not want to get flustered. It's very easy for all you Tarkov players out there. You know how flustered you can get when you're under pressure. You need to maintain control and make sure that they come in, stick to their strategies, stick to what they've practiced in order to give themselves the best chance to win.
Precisely, and this is it. We talked about this earlier, right, Jazza? It's like Counter-Strike. If you and your team are on a losing streak, it is very easy to lose that momentum, lose the, I guess, that team cohesion. It can all fall apart. But, we can see that here. We've heard, the really strong leadership from Jip, top left-hand screen there. He is making the calls. We can hear him right now. He's talking to the team. He's giving them a pep up. He's talking about what they're planning to do going into these final 2 rounds. He knows that they're going to be taken aback. They're going to be a little bit lacking in the confidence department. This is a tough position for them to be in. I do know that Jip does give some pretty fantastic pep talks. I believe Kiddo even changed his in-game name to A10 Warthog. We went full USA. Both of our teams moving off their spawn. Cookbarb with a very slow rotation off. Ray, Tip Blue, Nikus moving straight up. Cookbarb about to do that absolutely wild fence jump again, I believe. Again, I have never seen this. I'm actually watching him right now taking notes. Oh, he's time going over to the pipe. He is going to do a backwards jump over that fence. That is the one that I'm much more comfortable with. Nick throwing those nades out, trying to slow the push into the front side, not realizing that 2 of Team Korea's players are already there for those nades perfectly to get them off that corner. Very well placed.
One HP out here on me.
I killed the one that
Where's
was out
out
in
here?
front of,
There's another one.
Absolutely. I think we just saw...
Bray has gone down to Jiplol, making that rotation around the back. Again, these are the aggressive plays that I was talking about. We see that that mutant with the big drum mag. Jip is here, and he wants to fight. Again, we're seeing the in-game name SR72 Blackbird. Absolutely loving the name choices by Team USA here. Fantastic. It's so good to see them having a bit of fun.
Absolutely. But that early advantage now, it's a 4v3. All Expensive Healthcare need to do is just, as I said, maintain to the strategy. Someone's taking shots. Niccolo putting shots down.
He took down Nikus. That is wild. We still have Jip moving around the back there, calling out information. I think he might have even called out that audio for Nikus. Cookbab going down, top right-hand side. This is not looking good as we move into a 4v1 situation. They know that they need to push. They can afford to lose a player here, but they need that information. They need to hunt him down. Team Korea, he needs to try and slow them down. He needs to try and stay up for as long as he can, because he needs to make sure that they're not able to take than they were able to do. If this goes to a tiebreaker, Jiplol using that big drum mag, pre-firing the bushes. He is on the hunt. He needs to find that Korean player. Counting bodies now.
Not messing around. They have come out of the gates. They've come full force, and now we are seeing the revenge of Expensive Healthcare.
Dip Blue hiding in the back there. He knows that he needs to run that timer down. This is the right play from him. This is a very clever play. He will definitely have his in-game lead in his ear right now saying, mate, slow it down, play for time. We need to do it. He has seen Jip running up the back there, but he's not going to take the shot. He's not going to expose himself. He knows that this is a 4v1 situation. He needs to bide as much time as he can. During that, he's made the call. They're trying to work out, is it the sniper? Is he doing the rotate? Dip Blue taking out the player. But going down, he gave himself away. Jazza, what a clutch, what a turnaround. I said this before. You cannot count out Team Expensive Healthcare. If it comes down to a battle of grit, a battle of wit, a battle of mechanical skill, they will be here until the very end. Unbelievable. What a wild showing.
A lot of hours in this game, and Team Expensive Healthcare showing their experience here. And that was such a quick round too. That's going to work exponentially in Expensive Healthcare's advantage here.
If they're able to take this 4th round, I think that is going to go a long way to ensuring that they get the win, and they will be the ones going in, fighting out for the top spot tomorrow in our grand final. If there is a tiebreaker, remember, this is a best of 4. And of course, that means that either of our teams can win 2 rounds and 2 rounds, which means that we don't go into a round 5. There is no best of 5 with this, right? It will go to a tiebreaker. And the way that that tiebreaker is calculated is our team of observers from the NvN team will be calculating how long each of these matches has gone for. And the team that is able to take the wins in the shortest amount of time. So the people that are not sitting there, they're not slow walking, they're not holding their positions, they're getting in, they're fighting, they're making sure that they get the other team knocked out as quick as they possibly can. In a tiebreaker scenario, they will have the shortest winning game time, meaning they will continue through. The first 2 rounds that we saw, obviously, the first one was reasonably quick. I think it was over in sort of 3 or 4 minutes. The second round, a little bit slower. We were actually wondering, are we going to see that GL coming into play here before it ended up in that 1v1 scenario? But in round 3, they're very aware of the rules. So they did not stop. They went, you know what? We know that Team Korea are going to want to try and play for time. We're not going to let them put any of their strategies into play. They will not bed themselves into the fortress. They will not sit out by the train. We will find where they are and we will go and get them. And they did exactly that, Jazza. Mate, I don't know about you. I could not keep up with that. What was the highlight? Any highlights for you at all from that?
The early drop that Gunnar got on, he got early comms on I believe it was the sniper team, or the sniper player for Golden Tooth. He dropped really early and very, very clear communication with Inexpensive Healthcare. And they just kept that momentum going. And as soon as you knew it, all of a sudden, it was a 4v1 situation. Dip Blue doing the right thing there, trying to bide for time, but you can only sit in a corner for so long until someone finds you. So, unfortunately, with that in mind, 4v1, he ended up taking one of them out, and then the other team, as soon as they had that information, they pounced. They were ready, and they knew exactly where he was to take him out and take that win.
They got the trade, and look, we heard the calls from the in-game lead there. You know, have we seen the sniper play? Which of the players are still up? Are they going to be in the fortress? They were cutting their corners. They were checking everywhere that they could. They knew the moment that one of their players went down, that was fine. That was something that, and we see this in Counter-Strike, right? If you get that entry frag, even if you go down and you get the trade, that information will tell you what kind of kit are they using, where are they located, what are they trying to do, how are they playing this round, and the rest of the team are able to adjust for it. And we saw exactly that. They knew that even though one of their players, we saw Nick go down there, that all 3 were going to converge on him. It just played out exactly as they wanted. There was no opportunity for Team Korea to turn this 1v4 into a 1v1. Again, as a solo player, Jazzo, I know you're much the same a lot of the time. You know that if you are fighting a group, the only way that you win over a large team as a solo player is you need to try and turn all of the fights into a 1v1 and then a 1v1 and then a 1v1. And that's how you win a team fight. The way that they moved, the way that they were calling out what they were checking, where they were, meant that the moment that first shot was fired, everyone was within like spitting distance of that last Team Korea player. And
everyone knew exactly where he was so they can converge and get the kill, that win. Really, really exciting stuff. And this is actually turning out to be a repeat, potentially a repeat of OCE last week. Guys, we came down to the tiebreaker with the OCE teams, and there was 5 seconds difference between 2 wins to each team, and 5 seconds was all the difference. And as you said earlier, Afraid, Expensive Healthcare, they know that. They know that they need to get in and they need to get the job done quickly.
So again, this is really going to come down to the 4th round. So it's almost like the 3 rounds prior to this almost don't matter, because the 4th round is going to be a 4v4 PvP showdown, because it cannot go any other way. Expensive Healthcare know that the play that they had just then, it worked for them. They knew that they weren't going to let them get settled in. But you know, Team Golden Tooth could still play a bit differently. They may not try and push into Fortress. They may actually try and play it a little bit slower over by the train yard or hang around the glass medical building. The change in spawns could change the entire play here, Jazza.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how Golden Tooth still have the home field advantage. All they need is a draw, and they still take the match. So if they can hold off, they still have that small advantage there. However, Expensive Healthcare, they came out with revenge in their hearts this time, and this 4th round, I think we're going to see something really big. Very, very impressed with both of these teams, with their communications. Jip, very, very clear in his comms. and they understand it and they know each other so well. As I said, there's so much experience within these teams. It's just a pleasure to watch.
Absolutely. You know, this is really, we talk about this in almost every tournament, but this is really upper tier gameplay. You know, this is, when you're talking about esports and where Tarkov will be going, you know, it is not going to be a matchup of your top streamers and things like that. It will come down to the people that can put the time in, working together, establishing their strategies, working with their team, really gelling with one another. And we've seen that with all of our competitors so far. You know, I know that a lot of the Korean teams have been playing together for years in preparation, knowing that this type of tournament is coming, and they wanted to be there. They wanted to be there at ground zero. They wanted to make sure that when it happened, they were not only turning up for the day, they wanted to be on top. They wanted to show that they were the most competitive region in the world. And I will tell you, I really thought that Golden Tooth were coming in here on the back foot. I really thought that after what we saw last week with expensive healthcare, it was going to be a whitewash. But no, you know, you can never ever discount Team Golden Tooth.
25.
And it just goes to show how much of it can change, especially with the map. Last week we saw expensive healthcare on labs. They absolutely dominated. QB is definitely their style. You can see how strong they are going in, and they're getting that close quarter battle going.
5, 4.
With Custom's got a little bit more room to breathe, and we've seen that with Jip with that massive rotation in the second round.
Look, Fab, Mikas, they've all got these grenades out, ready to do that early throw across the fortress to try and slow down the opposing team. Gunner nailing the jump over on that fence south. As we join the Korean team, we see they are running a 2-2 split here. Oh, it might even be a 1-3 split. We see the nades going out, trying to slow down that initial push from expensive healthcare in the US, being slowed down. They know that they want to play aggressively. Ray, moving to the back, getting ready to counter anyone pushing in the back, getting shots up to the top. Not quite able to like here. Dip Blue moving up the U6 stairs at the back. Widow goes now into a 4v3 scenario with heavy damage on Team US. Dip Blue going down.
3대2 3대2야 자리 잡아
Canador also down.
It's all dead.
We have
Everybody.
on 1v3 again, Jip, the only remaining player, their DVL player, he does have that mutant on board with the big drum mag. If anyone can make this happen, it is Jip. If he is able to get a pick with that DVL, with range scope on it, it turns into a 2v1, and with that mutant and that big drum mag, mate, the spray transfer, Jazza, it could happen. Jip is not slowing down. He knows is still ticking along. You know, this is now a time where Golden Tooth can really bed themselves in. Jip really focused on that train line, really trying to figure out where the sniper player of Team Golden Tooth has moved to.
Look, Jip's got a lot on his plate right now. He's got to take a B3 situation, and from the looks of things, Golden Tooth have this place on lockdown. They are not going to get satisfied, and Jip has a lot on his plate.
We can hear the audio across the front there, the call-outs from Cookpap as they've made the push onto Jip. We hear the shots there. Taking the win, we see Pratt.
나세번 딴 놈 복수했다.
I believe we are hearing that this was
너무 좋았다.
a victory here.
쿠쿠가 잘 잡아줬다 이번에.
Getting confirmation that this is a Team Golden Tooth of Korea taking the win. A little bit of confusion there as they all celebrate and start shooting each other at the end. They have to be so happy. We can see that
이번에
Cookpap
3대1.
opening fire there in celebration. Honestly, that was down to the wire. Expensive healthcare, they knew what they needed to do. They were able to make it happen in the third round with that really, really quick squad wipe, but couldn't quite make it work. That aggressive play in round 4, obviously expecting that Team Korea were going to slow it down. They did not. They came out with their nades primed, they charged, they did a 3-1 split where the team were basically prioritizing taking the fortress, holding that really strategic position. They were not going to back down and play for time. They were going to show up and they were going to try and win the way that they have been practicing, and that is with strong teamwork and really well-laid plans. Jazza, anything to take away from that?
Tarkov is an information gathering game, and unfortunately, in that fourth round, not unfortunately, sorry, but in that fourth round, we just saw that the 1v3 split ended up working in the favor of the Korean team, and they were just able to absolutely decimate. And you could hear how happy they were at the end of that. As soon as they knew that Jip went down, he was the last man standing. I mean, well done to Expensive Healthcare. They played a really, really good game. 3-1 isn't exactly representative of how those raids went. It was so close on all of those raids.
It was not a clean sweep by any stretch of the imagination at all. It was a nail biter in every one. First 2 rounds down to a 1v1. Round 3, just Expensive Healthcare steamrolling their way through a 4v1, bringing some information to finally take the win there. Not able to keep that ball rolling into round 4, meaning that congratulations to Team Golden Tooth of Korea. Will be continuing through into our grand final tomorrow. They will be playing against the victor between Team Never Stop from China and Team Sicario from OCE, who will be vying for the 2nd spot in that grand final game. Now, of course, Jazza, they may have lost this round, but Team Expensive Healthcare, they are not out. They will be back tomorrow to play the loser out of our next match, right? They still have the opportunity to take home $2,000. That's what our 3rd place position gets, right? 1st and 2nd, honestly, Korea have a reason to be celebrating it. Worst case scenario, they're walking away with $3,000. We're about to go to a break. We will be a few minutes. Hang around, grab a drink. We will be back very, very shortly. Hello and welcome back to the Nation versus Nation Pacific League tournament. We are moving into our 2nd set for today, the semi-final round. We are going to be headed over to the reserve military base this time. This is NvN Game Mode 3. We did see this set being played last week in the show match between Team The Nest of the US and the China's Never Stop. I always get that wrong. Team Never Stop from China will be playing again here today. I need to say a big thank you to NvN, our sponsor for the production today, as well as a thank you to Battlestate Games, who have put up the $10,000 prize pool that competitors will be duking it out to take home as much of as they can. So again, I'm joined by Jazza Hazard. My name's Afraid. We will be watching Team Sicario of the Oceanic region going up against Team Never Stop from China over on the reserve military base for set 2 of our semi-final round. Of course, we have just seen the first set for today, which means that Team Golden Tooth from Korea will be going through into our grand final tomorrow, where they will be playing against the victor from this set, try and take home that top spot and the $5,000 that goes with it. So really, really excited to see what's going to happen in this set and how it's going to shape up the match tomorrow. Now, Jazza, we saw this game mode once. What are our teams going to do? What are we expecting to see here? Who's in these teams?
So from the OCE area, or for the OCE region, we have Sicario, we have Arden, Freddy, Yo-Yo, and Splinter, all powerhouses when it comes to the PvP. Me coming from the OCE region as well, I have had the pleasure of versing each and every single one of these boys, and they are not someone that you want with, especially on labs. It's going to be interesting to see play here on reserve, and I'm really looking forward to it. Moving over now, Never Stop. We've got Federico, CG.
Say that twice. You want me to give? Oh, I think,
Give me
here we go.
a
Let's see if I can get this right. So correct me in chat if you speak command. I do not. I'm going to do my best. Yumo Shangshi.
Yumong Shangxi?
I think we're close.
Hey, look.
Of course. Rounding it out. Again, if we've butchered that, we're terribly sorry. We grew up in Australia. We're not the most multilingual of countries, but we did our best. And look, I am so excited to see what this team do. We saw Federico last week absolutely dominating with that juice cannon, the D2 tunnels. Anyone that came down there, he was sending them back. And Jazza, of course, we have 2 spawns, much like we just saw in the customs round. The first spawn point A will be in behind the night building, starting off in the bunker there. They will then be moving over towards the objective, but they will be countered by the team at spawn point B. Again, another bunker spawn pawn. This time it will be in the field behind the pawn, the school, the Black Bishop building there, and they will both be attempting to run over to the King building. And the King building, again, like we saw with our customs round, that is where the objective will be, right? They need to prioritize either getting in there quickly and holding it, or playing a slow push and basically playing their strats and making sure that when that 7-minute point, remember, this is not a game, this is not a mode where you can just slow walk around and hide in bushes and everything, because if you do that, that timer will hit 0 and the opposing team will grab the objective, which will be a flare contained in an MBSS backpack on the roof of the building. So after that 7-minute mark, they will be able to grab that bag, and they can grab the bag and they can move away with it, and then they can search it, grab the flare. If they shoot that flare off, even if they are the last player remaining and the other 4, like you're in a 4v1 situation, remaining player, and you shoot that flare off, your team will that round. So it is absolutely important that they get up there and they grab that MBSS backpack at that 7-minute mark. They shoot that flare off. And Jazza, we saw some pretty interesting plays last time where I had no idea how many angles there were on to the rooftop.
Yeah, we learned a lot last week, especially the amount of visibility that you can actually get up on top of that King building that MBSS bag is. So it's going to be really, really interesting. We saw smokes being thrown last week. There's actually a little bit of sleight of hand as well. We didn't actually even realize that the flare had been popped by the time. So Federico, very, very quick on the trot. Down went the smoke. He got the bag and he popped that thing so quickly. No one had actually realized until his teammate decided to grenade launcher him down from up on dome.
I will say I am very much looking forward to. I'm hoping this is if you've got your NvN bingo card out, I'm hoping that there is a square there for a GL kill in this round. As we cut over to our players now, as they move to their spawns, loading up at the bunkers there, we are about to see the starting rituals of Team Sicario of OCE and Team Never Stop of China. I'm expecting more moonshines, more super waters. Let's see what they're going to do in terms of stims, because Jazza, remember, how many stims can they have?
You can only have 1 stim. So that's 1 Trimadol, 1 SJ6, 1 Propidol. The only exception of that, of course, is morphine, because that only does give you the painkiller effect. So making sure that they're obviously going to be abiding by those rules, 1 stim per person only. So they need to get all of the buffs that they can out of these attempts.
So if I don't make it to spawn, am I even just
precisely right? And remember, morphines do not count as a stimulant, as they only have a painkiller effect. So you will see some players there. I can see up top, Freddie Small there with the morphines just in that injector case. Now, of course, Splinter inset middle left. Remember, Australia is a big country. It is a country. It is almost as wide as the US.
Big countries.
These are. Oh, then that's exactly right. So they are all playing on a common server based in the US at the moment. So you will see that there will be some players that may not be able to maintain a connection. We have done the best that we can to try and accommodate all of these players. But Splinter lives very much on the West Coast, and we may see some disconnecting from him today. But from what I understand, Team Sick have adjusted their tactics. They've updated their plans, where Splinter will actually be their wildcard player. Their strategies rely on 3 people, not 4. We are still going to see a fantastic show, and we may see an upset as Splinter loads in and may just turn the tide these rounds.
It's just a tactical slow play here, afraid, for Splinter here. He's going to have to be really careful. He's going to have to be very, very aware of where he is and where he's situated, because he does not want to be DC'd out in the open where that's not going to have an easy pick.
As we see, there's a little bit of a delay between the feeds here, so you will not see everything happening in true time. Of course, Team Never Stop from China are streaming this onto Bilibili. If you have an account and you want to be able to watch them there, you'll be able to do that. We can see that they've jumped immediately onto that grenade launcher, covering the roof. Now, we saw this last week where they did a timed shot. They had actually worked out how long it would take for the opponent to get up dome and actually pre-fired with that grenade launcher.
Absolutely. That suppressive cover that you can get from that grenade launcher. You can see here Arden making sure that that grenade launcher up on Dome is clear. He does not want anybody to be able to do that. PG lighting thing up here. He is hoping for a collateral, something just to be able to tip the tide in their favor.
I'm just reminded of, I don't know if you watch Archer, Jazza, but Cyril Figgis doing the suppressive. And I definitely got that vibe from CG there as he shelled the absolute living life out of that dome hill.
Absolutely. You can see here Yo-Yo, very tactical player. He can hit his shots. He knows what he needs to do. Sicario have, as you said earlier, Afraid, they have accommodated for the ping issue that they're going to have with Splinter, unfortunately being on the West Coast. But at the end of the day, these guys know what they know how to get around it. They know how to get amongst it. And honestly, I'm not going to weigh them out.
Oh no! Look, and you would be silly to discount the skill of some of these players from Team Sicario. And we can see that, they've really thought about what they're doing. We see the, again, the Reese T for Freddie Smalls has it. He is running that big fell there. He's got a VSS as a backup. He is definitely there as a CQB player. He knows. Last week when we had the show match on this game mode, he knows that better down there somewhere. We'll be hunting. We'll be trying to take out anyone using the D2 tunnels to rotate. Yo-Yo, again, looking out that wind cross there, looking for anyone making a play onto the hill, looking for CG perhaps, looking to get that sniper player and take them out of commission, because ultimately you will not be able to take that MBSS. You will not be able to get up onto the roof of King if you have not been able to secure all of these vantage points. And that dome hill is such a huge one, because even if you are able to get those smokes down and cover the backpack, if they're able to take that GL out, they will be able to shell the entire rooftop. Even if you can grab that bag, you will not be getting off the roof. You will not be able to search. You will not be able to grab that flare.
Not at all. They've got to be really tactical, and they've got to be really fine with their movements here. Arden, we can see he's keeping an eye on that GL. He wants to make sure that if anybody hops onto it, he's going to absolutely dome them. CG making a slow play up towards dome. Do you think we're going to see Arden potentially get a couple of shots off here?
I think we might, because again, they know, they would have watched the matches last week where Team China always had someone up on that hill. Even if they're not there to grab the GL, even if they're not there to try and get any of those long shots, they know that they need to keep Team Sicario off there. There is nothing else that they can do in there. They need to make sure that they hold that vantage point, because they know that Federico is an incredibly aggressive, incredibly capable CQB player. If we get to the point where they're able to start pushing those fights and push up into the King building, if they've got ownership of the dome, the hill there, they know that they can take the win. If they can keep Sicario off the GL, they are set.
Absolutely.
You're waiting for audio. Arden, again, very much prioritizing keeping CG off any of the mounted guns there or getting any of those long shots. CG would know that if he cannot get audio from Team Sicario up on the dome, that they will be somewhere down in the field. And you can see he is now scoping around. He is looking for Arden. He knows that he's out there somewhere. The thing is, there are so many spots, particularly around those fuel tankers, where you can actually get a shot onto the King roof and get a shot back up onto the dome. So it's almost like trying to find a needle in a haystack, Jazza. I don't know that we're going to see a sniper battle here.
They're going to have a hard time. The only thing that I can say is that golden bracelet that Arden's got on his PMC may, in fact, give him away. The black tracksuit there, obviously, repping that 50 killer kills that he's gotten this wipe. It may give him away with the greenery around him. So I'll have to wait and see.
Look, he might get spotted, but at least he'll be looking good doing it. The flex of the tracksuit will never be lost on me.
Wait. No, I just got him off. Wait. Not a bag yet. I'm about to get in. Wait. I'll get it in bag.
We can hear the call outs from Arden. We're hearing the call of wait from Federico, the in-game lead for Team Never Stop of China. We are about to see a timed push here, I think, as we start rounding down towards that 21-minute mark. And Jazza, remember, this is not a game of running it all the way down to 0. you have 7 minutes. 7 minutes, and then you can get up onto that roof on King. You can drop your smokes, you can grab that bag, you can pull the flare out, you can shoot it off, and you can clutch victory in this round.
And we've seen how quickly Team China can do that as soon as they pop off that smoke. So Team OCE here, Sicario, be aware, and they would have seen the game last week. They have to be aware of how quickly you can move. So they've got to be able to keep an eye on that time, and they've got to be able to counteract that.
And we see Arden making a play here. He is calling the long rotation. I don't think he will be the player going for the MVSS. I don't know if CG has just seen a pixel out of place there and is now scoping, looking for him as we take the view from Team Sicario. Arden doing the wide flank in behind the night building there. Freddie Smalls still sitting in there waiting, listening for that audio, waiting for the push from Federico. You know that's why he's there. That is a really strong position for him to be in. Yo-Yo, again, looking to do a counter. He is going to be also putting some hate down onto that rooftop if Team China do try and make a play there. That big drum mag on board, he is happy to do that. Suppressing fire for effect.
I'm sorry, you can't say suppressive fire anymore without me getting
I can see back there, but
The Cyril Figgis effect.
I kind of might go close, maybe.
CG making the move up here. Are we going to see him? Please, we want to see some GL action.
Arden's moved off. Arden no longer has a spot on that hill, so he is going to have one hell of a long shot here. Can you actually see the GL from that angle?
I don't think you quite can. We see a shot coming out of the GL from Arden. I don't know if he's managed to hit anything, but we see the smokes from Federico again. He knows that the moment he gets all those smokes off, there is only a certain amount of time. Yo-Yo going down on the bottom left-hand side, being countered by Team China. Freddy is back in. He is taking that CQB fight through the letterbox grill of that Reese T. The smoke spreading for Federico. He hasn't made the push there. Remember, OCE do not have a hold on the dome right now, meaning that this is absolutely in Team China's favor.
Federico has the flare.
We hear it. The flare has come out, Jazza. And he shoots it in, taking the win for Team China in round one.
Very, very similar strat to what we saw out of China last week. If it's not broken, don't fix it, guys. If it works, it works.
Jazza, the tried and true strategy for Team Never Stop of China has paid off for them again. You know, that sort of, they own everything around that King building, but they just plant their IGL Federico in there with that SA-58, the big fell, the big drum mag on board, knowing that he will be able to steamroll through anyone that is trying to stop him from getting onto that roof and grabbing that backpack. Same thing that we saw in the show match last week. Those green smokes went off. He kept himself tucked away, hiding from the dome. And then he waited for the smoke to kind of propagate out. He grabbed that bag, did a quick search, ripped that flare out, shot it off, and clutched the victory. Again, the same strategy that I was expecting to see. CG moved up. He took the dome. He made sure no one was on that GL, because that was really the only counter for Federico at that point. I guess... Oh, do you think we're just going to see that like time and again with this playstyle from Team China? They've been able to demonstrate that it works, but surely Team Sicario will learn from it and change up what they're doing.
Absolutely. I think we're gonna see in the second round, we're gonna see Sicario coming out firing. They played a bit passive in that one. You know, I don't think I've ever seen Freddie Small sit in a one spot for so long. We all know that Freddie likes to run, and he likes that shift W. So I think we're going to see a little bit more aggressive play here. They do have a disadvantage with Splinter potentially disconnecting just because of his location, his connection to the server. But I think this second round is going to be a bit different to what we've just witnessed.
I definitely think you're right. I'm expecting that Freddie Smalls will start going on a Federico hunt. I think that's really what Team Sicario need to be doing here, because if you take that player out, and the thing is, that is not an easy ask. We saw that with Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo moving over to support Freddie so that they could go and hunt for Federico, knowing that he was most likely to try and make that play to drop those smokes. But immediately countered by Team China. They have people, they have eyes on that building. The moment Sicario moved to counter their IGL, they just get stopped. They get stopped at the door. Like, there's really, I don't even know how you would go about that, particularly with Arden trying to keep CG off that hill and then having to move later to try and give some cover or counter Federico, I'll be honest, I don't think I've seen enough of this game mode to know how you really stop the absolute juggernaut that is Team Never Stop.
It's a big ask, and Team Sicario have a lot on their plate, and they've got a big game ahead of them. But I'm not going to rule them out. It may only be 3.5 v4 at this point in time. Hopefully, Splinter's connection will stabilize, and we'll see a bit more equal gameplay from both teams. But at the same time, a little bit more aggression, I think, is going to go a long way.
And we saw that from the previous match with Expensive Healthcare, right? Is that they knew that when they were down, when they were on the back foot, they went, you know what? We're Tarkov players. We're PvP players. And Team Sicario are, by all rights, they are PvP players. We've seen the tracksuits. We've seen the Kappas. We've seen, like, these are very strong, very skilled, very capable players in their own right. They can just say, you know what? We're not going to worry about the strategies. We're not going to worry about the timing. We're not going to worry about the smokes. We're just going to make sure that we go in there and we just duke it out with Team Never Stop. And so we may see an Expensive Healthcare play here where they just go in and say, and we want to try and, you know, clutch that victory from the jaws of defeat. And it could happen.
It could happen. It might actually take Team Never Stop by surprise now that they've sat back a little bit and they played that quite passive. If they come out raring out of the gate, Never Stop may not be ready for it. So you might be able to actually catch Federico on the back foot here. We might be able to see a little bit more. You know, you got Freddy, he's equipped, he's got the Reese T's, he's ready to go. He wants to get in that fight.
And we saw last time that, yes, okay, all of these players, they are running, you know, the big ammos, the M61s, the 993s, the BPs, you name it. But there were 2 matches last week in the lineup between SEAL Team Panda of OCE and Sicario, where Freddy actually had his head black twice in game. He was saved by that Reese. It does work. You know, it may not be able to save you from a shot directly to the eyeballs with M61, but you know, that can be the difference between life and death. And Freddy was able to actually win a round last week with his head blacked because that Reese T kept him in the fight. So I do think that it would be really good to see them pushing hard. And I think the change in spawn locations, because of course, in each of these rounds, we do flip. Spawn A will go to Spawn B will go to Spawn A, and our teams will have an opportunity to approach the objective from a different angle. Now, potentially this could mean that Arden has that early push up onto Dome. So he moved into a position, we saw that Jazza, where he was trying to counter CG, knowing that he was most likely going to go up onto the Dome. And he waited, he didn't see him, and he rotated away. But this time, he could get in there and he could like bed himself in, and he could say, this hill is mine, that grenade launcher is mine. You want to try and send Federico to the roof again? Good luck to you. I'll make sure that doesn't work.
Absolutely.
It's look, it's going to be interesting because, you know, this is not like the previous ones where our teams have had plenty of opportunities to practice the labs modes, to practice the customs modes. This is a brand new game mode for NvN. All of our teams are coming in here fresh. We've only really seen one particular tactic that's come into play, and that really has been the rotate through the bottom of King, hold the D2 tunnels, and then have a bit of a juke above ground for I guess, ownership of the Dome Hill or any of the counter sniper points that you can get onto the roof of King. So I think that I'd really be keen to see our Team China, will Team Never Stop, change that up. It is a winning formula for them. I think they've actually gone, I think for the 5 rounds they've now played on this game mode, they have won all 5. All 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've got the time, and exhibition match that they had against the Nest, they really were able to get themselves warm and ready. And this is, the second match that they've gotten. First official match for Team Never Stop. Again, on reserve, they've got the time, they've got the experience, and they've got the foothold and the power to back it up.
Absolutely. And look, again, I've got to talk about the kits for a moment. I'm noticing I really expected this to be an all foul all the time matchup. We actually saw some mutants coming into play again. I thought everyone was past BP. BP was done, dusted. We're all, you know, my new best friend is 308, 762 I51. That's how we win matches. But no, the mutants coming back into play, and it looked like it was working, Jazza.
Absolutely. Look, BP with the mutant, the fast fire rate can cause some heavy damage, and the TTK for the BP is still viable. Just got to make sure that you're clapping heads. Unfortunately, with the larger rounds, they are going to pack a larger punch, and we saw last week how dangerous that SA58 can be.
Excellent. As we cut back over to our players now, who will be running out to their spawns, getting ready for round 3-2 of the matchup between Team Sicario, representing the Oceanic region, and Team Never Stop, representing China. See the big raid bag, all of their starting munitions and drinks and food and super waters and moonshines and even a CMS packed away there.
Because you understand what I'm thinking, don't you, Arden? Like, you want to go that way.
Yeah.
Okay, inventory checking. Okay, it's done. Thank you.
As they count down towards the timer, CG just making sure that everyone's wearing their helmet. Freddy doing a bit of a spin as he drinks that super real face visor. Okay, you know, we were talking about earlier the fact that, you know, BSG have gone to all of the... What are we looking at on Arden's screen here? Freddy Smalls winding that DPI, getting that spin bot effect going on. You love to see it.
These boys got a lot of time for these boys, and they provide a lot of entertainment value as well. It's going to be interesting. I really, really want to see them come out firing this time. You can see that backup helmet that Arden's got as well. He's ready to get into the CQB when he needs to as well. He's rocking the Bastion so he can get all those comms, and then the Reese team just in case he needs it.
It's a good way of doing it, right? When you're into that CQB, that real close fight, you want to be able to swap out there. You don't really care so much. Like, you don't need the contact force. You don't need the audio because you're in the fight.
Absolutely.
I need 40. I still want to get to the fucking spawn. I forgot.
I'm still just in love with that tracksuit. Just the amount of hours I've given it a go, and admittedly, yes, okay, it was easier this wipe, Jazza, but 50 kills is not a small ask. You know, that is a lot of interchange and a lot of PvP and a lot of very interesting raids to make that tracksuit happen. As we look at the score here, we can see that Team Never Stop, of China, on 1 round to 0 of Team Sicario of OCE. But this is only round 2, and it could still go anyone's way.
Absolutely. We can see all the players here. They're getting ready. They're pushing through. They've got their grenades pinned, ready to go. See Splinter there, obviously out in the middle of the field. Let's hope that he
makes it out to that starting point. And, yep, gets ready to come back in, having a few issues with the server here. CG looking for the rotate, taking, I believe that was at Arden there. We see the screen kind of get that suppression effect. Oh, Yo-Yo taking a shot to the thorax. What a shot from CG. Just, that was some next level gameplay, particularly with that short barrel DVL. What a shot. Not able to kill though, but that will have done heavy damage to his thorax and also his armor. Remember, we have not seen the double armor from anyone in Team Sicario.
Absolutely. That is going to be a little bit detrimental, especially that's going to leave Yo-Yo a bit wounded, and his armor must have tanked a lot of that.
Fighting in the technical building here as well, Jazza. You know, Yumo Shang-Chi, I'm hoping I got that right again, putting some shots in, allowing his team to rotate past the stairs. They are centimeters from each other right now.
It's interesting with the audio how careful these players are being. They are inches away from each other, and I don't think that they know that they're that close.
No, well, I mean, we did see some shots going on there before where they put some pre-fire down. CG doing a massive rotate though, almost around to the other spawn. I'm wondering if this is a new strategy from China that we haven't seen just yet.
没有，我没去圆球，我现在在485合作设立点，我想瞄一手医疗楼。
Yeah, the call-outs from in-game lead for Team Never Stop.
At some point, I can just run straight up the
making some calls around where he believes they are currently located. DG doing a few checks, moving up into the back guard post. Very interesting one here because it does give him oversight onto where that MBSS backpack is, but it also means that he doesn't have the same cover onto the dome that he really tried to get in the previous round. Potentially, he has seen 2 players. He did see Yo-Yo and he did see Arden crossing the road, meaning that they may have been attempting to prioritize holding the dome hill, getting onto that mounted grenade launcher, and potentially being able to repel Federico when he makes that push onto the top of the King building.
Absolutely. They know the strat that China or Team Never Stop have put down, and they're going to try and combat that as best as they can. Interesting strat from CG at the moment. I do not like going up on those guard towers because if you get stuck up there, you have nowhere to go. So we can see CG moving off that guard tower now. He's doing another rotation around, probably trying to get a better angle. Got Yo-Yo patiently waiting.
He's trying to stop that rotation, I think, down into the D2 tunnels. And we saw that from Team Never Stop previously, where they would try and drop Federico under the technical building, under King, and then he would move the rest of his team around to support him using those D2 tunnels. But Yo-Yo is not going to allow them to do that this time. Ready to support him if they hear that audio or they need to make the push up. CG over at the K sheds right now. He is on the hunt. I'm really not sure what he's trying to play here. Is he going to try and get a long angle? Is he prioritizing moving back over to the dome? Jazza, what are you thinking?
It's an interesting rotation, especially with how wide he's giving it. Potentially, with those early picks that he got off at the beginning, you know, he knows where two of the players are. He knows that they've been able to be locked in. So he might actually be pushing around trying to find out where the other two are. Splinter, of course, trying to do the best that he can with the current ping situation. But CG really looks like he's currently taken up residence at Arden's previous spot, just keeping an eye on that dome hill.
So again, you know, Team China, they realize that there is a huge tactical advantage on that dome hill, and they're not going to let it go. CG, he tried to shake it up a little bit by moving around, perhaps trying to look for the sniper from Team Sicario, not able to find them, and he's now returning to his main objective, and that is making sure he is able to provide a bit of breathing room for Federico as he makes the big push up onto the roof. Now, again, you need to remember that these raids can only go for 7 minutes. At that 7-minute mark, they will be able to go up onto the roof. They will be able to grab that MVSS backpack, and they will be able to shoot off that flare. So CG will be trying to make sure that no one gets onto the GL there, because that is the only way of really repelling the green smokes being dropped by Federico. It will give him enough breathing room to grab that MVSS backpack.
Absolutely. We can see Freddie Smalls in the top right corner here. He is prepping those smoke grenades. He is ready. You might actually see Team Sicario trying to do a little bit of a copycat of Team Never Stop here. Might actually try to beat them at their own game.
I mean, it's a strategy that works. Like we were saying before, we've seen it go 5-0 at this point. So if they're able to turn the game around on Team Never Stop, this could be the first upset for our Chinese players.
I'm loaded back in now. Do I still just full silence like I'm in?
Yeah, you won't be back in.
We can hear the countdown timer. Yeah, exactly
ready
right.
to full send.
They know that they can play it based on when Splinter loads back in. We see nades landing. Oh no, I think there might be some pre-fire from Federico. He's there with your Shang-Chi as Splinter pushes in there. He knows he's got about 30 seconds before he runs the risk of being kicked again, and he's going to try and make the swing.
Kill one.
Puts those shots on. Manages to Yuma Shang-Chi, but as he disconnects, this is what we were talking about, Jazza, where Federico also going down. I think Freddy managed to land the kill there. This is a huge upset for Team Never Stop. This is really big. Really big for Team Sicario.
CG
and I'm sure you can
running up to that grenade launcher now.
That is the counter. That is going to be the upset for them. If he can get onto that grenade launcher and keep them off it, that is a really strong position for CG to be in. Not prioritizing it yet. He is moving around. He is clearing around the top of the dome, making sure they don't have a player waiting out there. As we see Freddy going down, someone else is on the roof. Shots from CG onto Arden, I think that was. There it is. Shot to the back of the head from the dome. Again, this is what we were saying. That position is just such a really strong counter position for anyone that is able to take the King building. Yo-Yo going down on the swing. Now I believe that may be Team China taking the win in round 2 of this semi-final event. CG celebrating with a free dive off the dome hill there, dropping the disconnect. Jazza, We talked about it. We said, you know what? Are they going to do the same thing again? Are they going to do something different? And it was a little bit of both, right? We saw that immediately that they didn't do the same rotations off the spawns. They didn't try and drop Federico in under the building because Sicario were able to counter it so quickly. And ultimately, we saw Federico and Yushangshi going down very, very quickly the moment Splinter got into the building, ran through, got those shots down. Freddy cleaning up anyone that was left. But again, Team Neverstop, they went back to their tried and true. They knew that if they prioritized taking that dome, owning that sniper position, sitting near that grenade launcher, that they could counter anyone from Team Sicario getting up onto the roof. We saw Arden there with his Alton on. He was holding that roof. He was waiting for anyone to come up. He was going to send them home, ready to grab that bag. But ultimately, it was taken out before he was able to grab the bag. Again, I think round 3 is going to be a completely different strategy and a huge effort by all of our players. Jazzo, anything that you took away from that?
Just all around, you could see CG's reaction time. As soon as he knew that things were popping off, he knew that he needed to get up on that hill and start covering that bag. Really, really good attempt there by Sicario, coming up 3-man strong. Unfortunately, just didn't come out with the W for that one.
The thing is, that will absolutely have rattled Team Neverstop. You know, they have felt untouchable on this game mode so far. Yet they were just taken to the cleaners in that close range fight. You know, Team Sicario of OCE showed that, you know, this is not a walk in the park. If you want to go down fighting, we will go down fighting with you. So it was really just an amazing play. Again, there are still 2 more rounds. We've seen that Team Sicario have been able to adjust very quickly on the fly, even with that one player that has been having to reload. Splinter obviously having a very poor connection, but still able to be put into good use, taking out a player in that previous round. And that brings us to the halfway mark. We'll be a break and we'll be back in a few minutes. Hello and welcome back to the second half of our second set of this semi-final round of Nation versus Nation Pacific League. We are currently watching the matchup between Team Sicario of the Oceanic region against Team Neverstop representing China. Huge couple of raids up front. You know, we've seen China clutch 2 wins. First one was a bit of a landslide. The second one, though, was could have been anyone's game. Up until that last 30 seconds, Jazza, I think I was of the impression that Sicario were going to walk away with the win. They had managed to secure the top floor. They were looking at the bag. There were bodies all around them. But they managed to get CG up onto the hill, and he was able to counter them before they could grab the bag and secure the victory. What an upset, Jazza. Like, I don't even know what to say about that. There are so many strategies here that we just have not seen yet.
Yeah, exactly. And the really detrimental thing was we saw Arden up on that White King rooftop. He was ready to go. The bag was inches away from him. And unfortunately, they just had the suppressive fire down, making Arden hold that angle and giving CG enough time to just shoot him right in the back of the head. So, got to keep moving. But, hey, first round, Neverstop, back Sicario into a corner, and they kind of put them in their place, but then Team Sicario came out swinging in that second round, so I'm expecting more fireworks this raid.
Absolutely, and look, back to the first spawn points that we had, so that round 1, I'm also hoping that we're going to see CG jumping onto that grenade launcher at the start, doing that timing shot, that still figure, suppressing fire across the hill, because we've just seen in round 2 how important it is to have domination of that dome hill. And I will keep saying it because that will make or break anyone's strategy here, because no matter how good you are at CQB, if you own the tunnels under D2, if they are up on that hill and they have a sniper rifle that they can aim across, or even if you smoke it off, if you can get onto that mounted gun, it doesn't matter. You will be able to take out anyone who tries to go near that backpack and grab that flare. So I'm actually thinking we're going to see a repeat of the first round strategy, or do you reckon we're going to get something completely new, something left of field?
As I said, look, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Team China are very, very capable, and they know their game and they know their plan. So I'm not expecting to see much of a change from Neverstop. However, I do expect to see some changes from Sicario here. They know that first raid that they had was a bit too passive. They need to be a little bit more aggressive, get in there, stick the fight to them, and then make it happen. Take the fight to Federico. Take the fight to Team Neverstop. and get that bag.
It is the same thing, though, that we saw in set 1 today, where Expensive Healthcare were down 2-0 against Team Golden Tooth of Korea, and they knew that the only thing they could do was try and take it to a tiebreak. For them to get a tiebreak, these are best of 4 rounds, meaning that it is possible for both teams to win 2 rounds each, right? And the way that we then settle that is it comes down to the time to win. So the people that are able to, the team that is able to secure the victory the quickest in the rounds that they win will ultimately go through, which means that we prioritize. You cannot sit there, you cannot wait in every round for the opportunity to get to that flare. You sometimes will need to go out there and hunt people down. You have to win with PvP. And that is exactly what Team Sicario will need to do now. They cannot wait for the Team China to get onto the flare and try and counter them, or wait for that timer to hit 0 and then grab the flare and shoot it off, because it will not work, because you're going to come down to the mere seconds. And Team Sicario had this last week with SEAL Team Panda in the qualifying regional rounds. They will not want to do this again because it is stressful, and they want to make sure that they get a clear run into our grand final tomorrow, where the winning team will have the opportunity to face up against Team Golden Tooth of Korea in the hopes of taking home $5,000. Of course, we have a $10,000 prize pool in total, kindly provided by the lads at Battle State Games. A big thank you to them. As we jump back over to our players, I hear that they are deploying into raid now and making their way over to the spawn points. So on board with Team Sicario as they make their way over to the spawn, the bunker behind the night buildings, meaning that Team Never Stop of China will be at the bunker in behind Black Bishop, Black Pawn, that open field, the most scary spawn in the game for me. I feel like every time I get it, I have a sniper on my left, a sniper on my right, and I'm just madly trying to get over to the school building so that I can go into D2 and get killed by a raider there.
I absolutely love that spawn. Get me into that bunker any day. As soon as I come swinging outside of that ramp, I'm looking to my left, I'm waiting for the other guy to run out. However, we are seeing all of our teams here. Federico now switching over to the Val.
The Val, I don't know if I would use a Val Jazza. Like, I love how quickly it can put somebody down, and like that ammo, particularly BP, will go through any, absolutely melt people. But I feel like you can like drop one mag, you can drop a player, and then that gun overheats, your bolt jams, and all of a sudden you're being steamrolled. It probably lets me down more often than I'm able to team wipe with it.
Of course, guys, the AEST Val, very, very prone to malfunctions. Small mag size as well. It's only got 30 bullets. You cannot get a bigger clip for it. So you do have to absolutely make sure that your shots are on. The SP6, though, it does some damage. So you need to make sure that you're landing those shots in order to get those kills. And make sure that you're counting those bullets, because if you do not, it can be really detrimental to you.
And you can see there, Freddy is running the FEL, the big long juice cannon with the RK2 on there, trying to get that recoil down as much as he possibly can. That will be a 0 ergo build, I believe. But he does have the VSS there as well. And I think this is for when he wants to try and move through some of the tighter spaces, particularly if he's fighting in a building or under D2. He will not want to get gun tucked. He will want to make sure that he can swing that giant pogo stick of a gun around. And I don't know about you, but I have managed to get gun tucked with those big suppressors on some of these guns enough times that well, let me put it this way. I like to take a bit of a longer range fight or a fight out nowadays because of, I get flashbacks.
Look, we all know how dangerous Freddy can be, particularly with his point fire. So he doesn't really need ergonomics with that S8 build. He is more than happy just to let it fly.
And we saw how effective that was with the pre-fire as they pushed up onto Federico and Yushangshi in the previous round. So they came up there, they didn't know where they were. You know what they did is I've got a big drum mag, I've got a low recoil build, I'm shooting 308s. Like these bullets are as big as my thumb. I'm just going to come around the corner with them being sprayed everywhere. And it worked. The match is live now. We see them rushing out. Team Sicario making that early push. We see Freddy rotating to the right, moving towards the dome. Reese T on both Arden and Freddy. I reckon they're going to go for another CQB fight here.
Arden might not be waiting for the sniper position now. He might just be actually assisting Freddy, running straight in. He is ready for a fight.
I think you might be right there. CG looking across the road, trying to see if there is a rotate over towards the building, not realizing that there are 3 players from Team Sicario just steamrolling towards him right now. Yo-Yo nades out as they push into the back of the technical building there. Yo-Yo pre-firing into the breach. Arden on his shoulder. Freddy rode around the back there on the road.
We see Federico, he's in his position now. We all know, we saw it last week and we've seen it a couple times already today. Once he gets into that position, he is very comfortable, and we've seen the amount of damage that he can do with that SA-58. Let's hope that Sicario are able to counter it.
And they know that Sicario are going to be playing for time here. They cannot muck around. They need to make sure that they get in. They cannot run it down to that 7-minute mark. If they want to take the win here, they know that they need to take out every player in Team Never Stop.
CG there, scoping out everything. He's making sure that he's giving all the communication that he can to his fellow teammates. And we hear the wee woo.
This is what is Jazza, what is going on? What is this? I believe we have just heard Team Sicario hit wee woo.
Like what's going on? Who's pulled the wee woo?
Oh, this is it. You know, we talked about strategies and everything before. We're now psychological game, Jazza. You know what? Okay, we're gonna push you into a PvP fight, but you know what? We're gonna put you on the back foot by removing any audio you have. We've all come in here with our Reese tees on. We don't care. We don't care about that siren. We can barely hear it. We've turned our audio off. We don't care. But guess what? Those contact boars are not worth the 80k you paid for them.
Absolutely not. For anybody who has played reserve and has heard this siren going off, it is absolutely detrimental to your audio. So, Team OCE Sicario, they're making a very interesting play. They've flicked the switch, and they might actually be leveling the playing field here.
Well, that's it. CG now moving around. Is he going to move back up to that sniper vantage point like in the previous round? I think he will, because they would know the fact that they have pulled the lever, that they're probably running around with the Reese, they're probably inside a building, they might even be down in D2. Who knows? But they should have a clean run. CG moving up a lot quicker than we saw in previous rounds, Shazza.
He's not being as cautious this time. I think he's really concerned with the audio at the moment. It may have actually taken them by surprise. As you said, Afraid, getting that mental game happening. They're starting to play games. They're starting to get inside Team Never Stop's head.
Yeah, and this is a team match. This is not your typical PvP points for dog tags and everything else. This is an objective game, which means that playing mind games with your opponent is a perfectly reasonable strategy. Arden looking up for CG there. CG moved up a lot quicker this time. He has taken out the DVL. He is checking out the top of Dome, not realizing that they don't actually have anyone up at the Dome this time. They are just getting ready for that counter. They know that CG has gone up onto the Dome every single time. We saw it in the previous round. They are going to be prepared for any kind of counter there.
Interesting. CG seems to have backed off a little bit as well. He's not running up the hill as fast as he was. He's actually concerned. I think he thinks that one of the Sicario team members are up at Dome. Maybe from making that play for the switch heading up the hill.
Now, do we think CG's playing it slow here because he doesn't want to get too close to the siren, or is this a tactic point that we just haven't seen before?
He might be trying to preserve his ears. We'll have to wait.
I do not blame him for that, Jazzo. I can tell you now, I'm sitting here and I can feel it ringing in my brain, especially after the late night we had yesterday here at PAX Australia.
This siren always gives me PTSD. So let's. Thank you, Team Sicario, for flicking that switch.
Arden taking the long scope through the windows. I'm wondering how much time he must have spent moving around this building, seeing what angles he could peek out of that window. We're seeing across the top of the Dome building. Can't see the Dome itself, and you couldn't quite see that mounted grenade launcher there at all. So I'm not sure how it will go as the timer clicks down to that 7-minute mark. Again, I was really expecting a lot more urgency from Team Sicario, Jazzo.
It's interesting. They're either playing it very, very, and they're having, they've got one hell of a poker face. So let's see if it pays off for them.
Splinter making a move now. We heard the IGL calling. Splinter's loading back in. Let's get ready to move. We are about to see the play from Team Sicario. Again, all of them down in that building. Splinter DCing again. Yuma Shangshi has tried to counter the fight there. We can see all the flashlights. Federico moving in to support his teammate. Is able to take out, I think that might have been Yo-Yo. It was Yo-Yo, seeing him go down in the bottom left-hand screen to Federico.
Oh, Arden takes one.
I'm dead. The other one's hard left.
Here, Arden calling the trade, but goes down, meaning that it is back into it. I think we are down to a 3v2, if I'm not mistaken, Jazza.
3v2, yes, CG and Federico still up. Freddie Smalls being very patient here. Let's see what Freddie can produce.
Ready up onto the roof. A timer still ticking down. The smokes are out. You see CG taking the shots down onto Freddie, who's on the roof there. Because remember, all taking shots to the arm and thorax. That M61 doing a lot of damage. All Freddie needs to do is grab that MVSS once the timer hits 7 minutes. If he can search it and get it off, he's trying to do it. He's trying to grab the bag, but he goes down. Federico.
Unfortunate. Federico pushing up at the exact time that he was needed there.
And I think that might have been Lou taking the kill on Freddie there. Such fantastic plays from the Team Sicario guys. Like Jazza, it's just they are there and they are doing so very well, but not quite able to make it stick. The moment CG is able to get his eyes up on the dome, across over the top, you heard it immediately. Like, I don't speak Mandarin, but I can tell you now exactly what he was saying. He's on the roof. He's going for the bag. You need to push now. And that's exactly what they did. And they kept Freddie off the bag there. He was playing for time. He was doing what he needed to do. But he wasn't exactly sure where that bag was and unfortunately could not grab it quick enough before Lou came up those stairs and sent him back to the lobby.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at the second time. The second raid in a row where Team Sicario have come in inches from that bag, unable to convert it into a point and get that flare and pop it off. Really, really good communication there by Team Never Stop. You could hear CG, as said, calling it out. Both Federico and Lou just swarmed and just absolutely just pushed up. Easy communication, easy clap for the Team Never Stop.
Amazing plays by Federico as well. He had enough confidence in I'm just going to call him Yumo because I'll be able to. I can make that work. It is said as that is my endeared nickname for him. But he knew that Yumo was able to hold that fight as Splinter and Freddie made the push up the stairs with Arden. Right? He knew that he could sit there and he could wait. He could wait for them to put themselves in a position where they were compromised, and we saw that. We saw Yo-Yo putting his back to Federico, and he suffered for it. They were able to get the trade. They were able to get onto the roof. But ultimately, if they managed to have one more player up, they may have been able to counter that push from Lou at the 11th hour, keeping them off the bag. A huge congratulations to Team Never Stop of China. That gives them 3-0 in the second set of the semifinals of this Nation versus Nation Pacific League tournament, meaning that they will be going through to the grand final, playing for that top position against Team Golden Tooth of Korea, which means that we will see that matchup tomorrow, as well as a matchup between Team Sicario of OCE against Team Expensive Healthcare of the US for 3rd and 4th. So a big congratulations to all of our players today. They've done an amazing job. We have one last round, however. It may have been a victory already in that best of 4, but I can tell you now, these last 2 rounds, yeah, okay, it's not a great one for Sicario. They have lost the matches, but you know what they did? They made Federico realize that he's mortal. They've made Yumo realize that there are players here, there are players in the OC region that can duke it out with the best of them. And they made sure that, yeah, okay, we might not go through to the grand final, but we're going to make sure that you know that you are not a clear-cut winner for this event. You are going to need to fight all the way to the end. And if they can make that happen by clutching a win right at the very end here, Jazza, I don't know about you, but as a resident of OCE, you know, this is my community. You can probably tell that I'm a little bit biased for them here because, you know, we play with these guys, we know them, we want them to do well, but I really would like to see them, you know, go down fighting, you know, get one score on the board here and really show what we're made of.
Absolutely, and I know these boys very well. Spent a lot of time with them, and I know that they're going to come out swinging. These boys do not lay down, and the most impressive thing, as well as Team Never Stop have played, don't discount that at all. But with Team Sicario, they are timing their pushes for Splinter to get back into raid from his disconnection. They are playing with a 30-second timer whenever Splinter loads back in. And it is a game of cat and mouse. Ready? Are you ready? Yep, let's go. And I know Splinter. I know he likes the shift W. It's not foreign to him at all. So hats off to Team Sicario for dealing with that little bit of a handicap.
That's it. I mean, they've been able to take that disconnect and the fact that you lose the information from that player. You know, you're not getting audio from Splinter because he's moving to the next spot that he needs to be in, then he's getting that timing right for the push. But they're able to use him like a wrecking ball because they know they've got 30 seconds. There is no checking around corners. He is in there with that big drum mag. He is pushing in the moment he's loaded into raid. He's letting the team know, all right, I'm in, let's go. They're throwing him in there. He's pre-firing the corners. He's doing what he can before he goes down. And then he's setting up the rest of his team with that information that he can provide so that they can clean up as much as they possibly can. But again, Jazza, they need to do something about CG. That is the absolute game breaker for them. The reality is, no matter what happens in any of these raids, they've been, like, Team Never Stop have been putting CG up onto the dome at some point because he can either counter that push or give them the information, right? And again, you said it yourself, it is an information game. Surely, do we think we're going to see Arden going to try and counter CG in this final round? Is that the game changer for them?
Honestly, I honestly think that at the end of the day, they are going to have to command that hill. We've seen it. They've gotten into the building, but then once they're up on the roof, they've disregarded the hill, and it has cost them 2 times now. So we're going to have to really push in. I actually want to see Arden shift W all the way up to that hill, beat CG to it, and beat CG at his own game. CG is absolutely commanding that hill at the moment, and that's his spot. You've got to take him out before any other play can be made, because we've seen him hit shots with that DVL, and he is dangerous.
Mm-hmm. He's always been able to put himself in a position knowing, his biggest skill from what we've been able to see here is he knows the timing. They have practiced it. He knows where he can get to counter a rotation. He's been able to get to the road and sail all the way across and even get shots down. We saw some people crossing the road. Arden taking heavy damage to his arm and thorax as he was just trying to get into position. They barely started the raid, and he was already, down on armor, down on meds as a result. But it also gave Team Never Stop that really precious, that really important information. He was able to say, they're either heading up to the dome or they're trying to prioritize getting into the technical building. But again, if I wanted one thing from this match, Shazza, one thing, I beg, I'm putting it out there in the universe. Again, I don't speak Mandarin, but if there's anyone watching this that is in the Team Never Stops chats, no metagaming. Metagaming is not allowed. But if there was just a request, like a bit of a wish from us here in the casting booth, if we could see a mounted grenade launcher kill today, I would be over the moon. Absolutely over the moon.
Let it fly, boys. Let it fly.
I mean, even if it's a TK, I think I'm happy with that at the end as well, Jazza, right? Like we saw that in the show.
It kills a kill, right?
They're all question marks on the end kill screen, right? So look, I'm really keen to see what they do here. They know that they're going through. So therefore, they can have a bit of fun with it. Maybe this will just turn into a 4-way deathmatch. Maybe we'll see a knife fight.
Maybe. And look, we all know the boys, especially from Team Sicario. They do love a good meme. So let's see what they can produce.
Yep, we're hopeful. Again, no metagaming, but if we can make it a fun one, let's get ready for it. I'm hearing that our players have deployed. We are just getting ready to cut over to them now as they move over to their starting points. Again, we'll have swapped back over to the starting points from round 2.
Swing corners jumping. Alright, I'm just going to swing every corner jumping. Fuck it.
We're hearing that. We're hearing it already. They're like, what are we doing? We're doing the jump shots.
Here we go, and yep. They're ready, and they want it.
Remember, this may be a competitive environment. There may be money on the line, but at the end of the day, we're all here to have a bit of fun. And the fact that this is a 3-0 scenario now, there is no coming back for Team Sicario of OCE. They can have a bit of fun with it. They can flex their skills. They can show off a little bit. They can have a bit of fun. I'm actually really excited for this one, Jazza, I do have to say.
Yeah, pressure's off now. Game is unfortunately over, but this is the redemption raid, I believe, for Sicario. We're going to see some stuff going on.
还是不上？不上是吧
不上。
？OK，
Will look guy, but everybody watching this.
Okay,
稳点吧，稳点吧。
Not seeing all the super waters coming out this time.
No.
See Yumo down the bottom there. He's
对啊
opted to keep it in there. Maybe they're doing a late
有
one.
没有像车啊？他羞辱你哥。
Although we do have a few minutes until they deploy. Remember, they will go on the 27-minute mark, and then from there they have 7 minutes to fight it out, take their positions, get ownership of that king building, and be ready to grab the player out of that bag.
And just in attribution to this team Sicario, you can hear them. They're all having a good time. They're just here to have fun now, and this is exactly what they're going to do. I'm excited to see this raid.
I'm looking forward to the celebration. And you know, we've seen that from all of our teams. The 9 hours being called out, the in-game void. Just again, it just shows the competitive pedigree of these teams. We haven't really seen the kind of void banter and the voice sliding and things like that you sometimes see in other tournaments. So
it could be a different story tomorrow with Sicario going up against healthcare, or expensive healthcare, but we'll see.
That will be quite the battle, I think. There. And again, if you were a betting man, where do you think we'll be watching them match up?
Or I would love to see Team Sicario and expensive healthcare duke it out on labs.
I'm
Both very
definitely
strong.
in the same camp there. As our players move off the spawn, CG, Federico, straight past the night buildings there, we see all of our Team Sicario players charging out of their spawn. Splinter, DC, standing in the field. A bit of a chuckle from our two players. No mounted grenade launches yet. But a boy can hope, Jazza. It's not too late. CG just putting shots downrange. He doesn't know what he's shooting at. He doesn't care. He's just he's making sure that they know. I see you crossing down there. I'm watching.
That suppressor on CG's gun absolutely red hot.
Doing the mag check there, looking at all that M61 tucked away. I cannot even follow the play right now. I don't know if there is a strategy here. We've got two of our Team Sicario players pushing immediately into there where they have traded with Federico and Yumo. Yumo putting shots in there to try and suppress them, push them back down that stairway. CG again making that move over towards the dome. I think we're just going to see a repeat of the previous one.
Yeah, they've got to be more attentive to that dome, that hill. It's absolutely CG is just causing absolute pain and damage from there. Federico
putting shots on Freddy, I think that was there. Freddy going down to the cheeky peek from Federico. Arden not that far away though. But again, the Reese T still on. He may not have that audio. Grenades going off. Splinter's back in the match. Here is our ace in the hole.
It's a strategic late push here by Splinter.
We call it in StarCraft terms. It's a timing play. A timing play. Remember, Splinter able to load in for 30-second increments due to the picking limits here. Unfortunately, not able to join us here in Melbourne today to be a part of this, but you know he's a competitor. He doesn't mind. He will still get in here and he will throw down because that is the nature of our players. They just want to be part of it and they want to put on their skills to show.
These boys just getting absolutely ready. All they want to do is just send it. You can tell. I know Arden's trigger finger must be itching right now. He is raring for a fight.
See CG moving around towards the button. No, he's not pushing it. There is no wee-woo this time, Jazza. We get to keep our ears. Shots from Federico down that hallway. I believe onto Arden there.
Takes out Arden.
He does. Arden going down to the juice cannon of Federico. I don't know what he's saying there, but he certainly sounds that. We're already seeing the smoke grenades going off. No, they're not even on the roof this time. They're just doing it for effect. They're putting on a bit of a light show for us, Jazza.
Yo, just trying to give himself any sort of cover that he can from that juice cannon that is Federico. It is absolutely annihilating. We've seen it time and time again. We saw it last week. We've seen it today, how dangerous he can be.
Yo-Yo and Federico right near each other. We see that green smoke coming through. The head peeks from Yo-Yo. not able to quite pick where Federico is. He is on the other side of the smoke there. Yumo, again, looking out the window at that smoke. Get a, I would say a 3v1, but a 3v1.5 because Splinter is back in the fight, charging past the helicopter. He's not out yet. He wants to be part of it. He'll be sitting there. He'll let me stopwatch out. I've got another 10 seconds, 5 seconds. All right, let me get there. I know in the next one, I'm going to be making it.
Federico letting it fly with the SA-58 and then switching over to his valve. He's completely blind, and Yo-Yo knows it.
CG has just spotted Splinter outside. So Splinter will not be able to rejoin the match. It is now a 3v1. Yo-Yo is a born and bred PvP player. We've just heard him moving around right near where we saw CG playing.
Absolutely. Yo-Yo is not scared of a fight, and he's going to give them a run for his money.
Oh, look, I can tell you now, I wish they had like green tracer or some kind of tracer around. This would be, it'd be like watching Star Wars, just laser bolts through the smoke.
Both teams just absolutely letting it fly through the smoke. About as accurate as a stormtrooper as well, so it's on theme.
Federico, we saw him there dropping more smoke. This is what they want to do. You see, he is a predator in the mist right now. Yumo, Federico charging forward. They want to go and find Yo-Yo. Where is he? He's like, what? Where have they gone? What's happening? All of the players are currently... Oh no, and Yo-Yo running back down. We've just seen shots there. He does go down, meaning it is a clean sweep. 4-0. Team Never Stop of China.
That is 8 raids on reserve that Never Stop have won. 8 out of 8.
That is it. Like, they are doing it over and over again. They have made reserve. Oh, and there we go. All turning on each other in celebration. They have to be absolutely thrilled with how that went. Now we are going to take a look at the ladder to see what we are looking at tomorrow for our grand final rounds. And of course, that means with Golden Tooth from Korea taking out expensive healthcare from the US, they will be moving through to the grand final round, vying for that top spot against Team Never Stop of China. Of course, we've just watched them take the victory over Sicario from the Oceanic region. So they will be duking it out tomorrow for the top and second spots, meaning they will be taking home either $5,000 US or $3,000 US. And of course, our runners-up from today, being eliminated in their brackets, but they are not out of the competition yet, will be expensive healthcare from the US, going up against Team Sicario from the Oceanic region, looking to get that third spot and taking home a share in $2,000 US, Shazza. So it is not over yet, but what some absolutely wild matches we've seen here today. Like, I think tomorrow is just going to be brutal.
Absolutely. Really, really good matches here today. Again, the points 4-0 to Never Stop over Sicario. However, Team Sicario coming within inches of that MBS a couple of times there. Could have gone either way, but Never Stop just proving that they are a capable team and able to hold them off and defend that bag. CG coming in MVP for Never Stop, I think, commanding that hill.
They really, really did show that it had a huge tactical advantage. And of course, that brings us to the end of our set matches for today. A huge thank you to our sponsors, of course, NvN. Check them out if you run a big Discord server and you have a problem with any kind of undesirables coming on there. They can look for cheaters, people that are doing other things that are illegal against TOS and help to protect your community. And of course, Battlestate Games for fronting up the $10,000 US prize pool that all of our players are duking it out for here today. So, and of course, we can't forget our teams, right? The huge amount of effort that they've all put into learning these modes, practicing their strategies, coming together, doing scrims, a lot of them even sharing, PC setups. I know Arden is playing on a borrowed PC because he's over here in Melbourne right now for PAX Australia. Splinter was moving all around WA yesterday, trying to find a good spot for him to compete from. Like, there is so much support in this community, and it is really, really heartwarming to see. And I have big hopes for the future of competitive Tarkov. And of course, Jazza, mate, first casting session. It has been a pleasure having you here with me. And, I really look forward to, of course, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be in this amazing booth again with this very, very bright key lighting, which I'm not used to. If anyone has seen my setup at home, it is basically just a globe with a bit of a plastic sheet over it to give it that diffused look. But really, really excited to be back here tomorrow and casting the grand final rounds.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure being here with you, Afraid. And I'm sure with the team Sicario, boys, we'll have a few beers tonight. We'll drown those sorrows, but not too much because you've got to come back with a vengeance tomorrow. We'll be seeing you.
We, of course, will have drops tomorrow. We understand there were some technical issues with Twitch today, but I am hearing that they should be all sorted for tomorrow. So again, the same time, we will have the drops on. And I haven't even seen what drops we have. So if you've managed to land any of them today and you've seen what they are, please drop them into the chat. Let us know. We did say that we were going to have some words with BSG to make sure we got the most primo drops we possibly could. And look, if they were not up to standard today, I've got a few of the BSG team on speed dial. I'll make sure that they come back better and stronger for tomorrow. So be sure, hit that follow button if you can. If you have seen any of our competitors today where you're like, I like your vibe, I will say that I love the vibe of the US team today, changing their names to military hardware. I saw A10s, I saw SUs, I saw all sorts of things in there. Very, very cool. There is if you're in Melbourne for PAX though, a reminder that we will be at the Wharf Hotel in Docklands from 6 p.m. Sydney time, or Melbourne time if you're down here. So just a few short hours from now, if you want to come along, say g'day. We'll have a few things to give away, a couple of in-game drops, I believe, as well. I did see saw a few cards floating around that looked like they had some pretty spicy-looking kits on them. So be sure to come up, find one of the team here, and we'll try and make sure we hook you up with some merch. And there'll be an opportunity to come along and meet some of the content creators, the people that we all watch on Twitch. So if you're here, come and say hello, and that will be from 6 p.m. at the Wharf in Docklands, and I'll make sure we've got some rounds on the bar as well. Okay, so I guess the only thing that I would have to say after all of that, though, is if we go into labs raids tomorrow, do you think we're going to see a change in the way that our sniper players are going to be working?
I feel like particularly when it comes to expensive healthcare and Sicario, I feel like their comfort zone is on labs. They're all very, very heavy on the CQB and very experienced. There's a lot of hours between both teams. So maybe we might see some early picks down the center of management, but I think a lot of it is just going to be an all-in brawl.
I think you're right there. But again, you will not know unless you tune in tomorrow. So hit that follow button, come in here, get your drops, watch some top-level gameplay, and we will see you then.